Hi, book lovers. Welcome to the YouTube library. We are street accredited and corporate certified. My name is MD Njiru, the artist, and today we have a very special guest. He is my childhood buddy. I've known this man for over 2 decades and is a very special person in my life. In fact, the first ever blog post I wrote, I mentioned about him. He's called Mike. He will introduce himself. The one thing that I know for sure, he loves reading and his passion for reading is on another level. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, David, and hi
Welcome.
to all fans that are following this channel. It's a pleasure to be here to connect again with my longtime friend. Indeed, we've known each other for a very long time. We basically schooled together from primary school. We were not together in the same high school, but at least we were in touch, and even after that, we've been in touch. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Welcome, Mike. Pleasure all mine. Thank you. So, kindly introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Yes, so my full name is Michael Wainaina, and I'm a jack of all trades. I'm not in being cliche, but
Yeah.
I'm a jack of all trades. But basically, my 8 to 5 job is in development. So I work for a development organization where we try to offer technical solutions to development agencies. By development agencies, I mean the likes of World Bank, EU. Sometimes we are working with governments, and we are developing technical solutions to different things, majorly in agriculture, because that's the backbone of most African economies. So we are developing, for example, things like farming methods that can benefit farmers. We do things like designs for irrigation schemes. So the whole shebang of advising governments on development issues. My background is in project management. Basically, that's what I studied,
Okay.
and done a bit of finance. I've worked in a number of companies now. Uh, where I'm working currently, that's my band company. Uh, I've also had an interesting opportunity to work outside Kenya and gotten to learn cultures from other countries. And at the end of the day, I said home is the best. So
Sure.
I work in the country to work in Kenya and loving every moment of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see that you are a jack of all trades, and you have explained about your 8 to 5. After what about 5 to 8? What do you engage in?
From past five,
Yeah.
I did try some bit of farming.
Okay.
I was rearing chicken last year, and it was up and down, and I got to understand the challenges of entrepreneurs. Having to put something together and make some income out of it. However small enterprise it is, it's not easy, and at times, such things will not work out, and I don't always want to take it as a loss-making venture or a lost opportunity, basically. So for me, whenever I try something and it doesn't work out, I take that as a lesson. There's definitely something you learn from such things. So I did try learning some chicken. Then yeah, I've also tried to do some personal training. So basically, helping people on weight loss journeys, helping people on sort of bodybuilding. Of course, not at a professional level, but it's something that I've done because I've been also passionate in keeping fit, living a healthy life. I mean, as you know, most of the diseases people are suffering from now are actually lifestyle diseases. meaning they are getting sick basically because of how they live, the types of food they are eating, their level of activity or lack of. So beside my 8 to 5, I've been indulging in those two things: chicken rearing and helping people on their weight loss.
Oh, okay. So, despite your busy schedule and all the activities you engage in, I'm sure you still maintain the passion for reading.
I do. I love reading a lot. Sometimes I sort of think myself as an information junkie.
Okay.
I try to absorb as much as information as possible.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's actually almost gives me a headache
Yeah, okay.
because I think the more I do it, the more I feel like I can't afford to be ignorant of
Oh,
some things,
okay.
especially in the line of things that I love. So
Okay.
whenever I see something or basically I hear about something that is in line with what I love, things that I love reading and knowing, increasing my knowledge in, I will not rest until I'm able to satisfy that curiosity. So I always go an extra mile in basically updating my knowledge on different things. So yeah, so my passion for reading is very much alive.
Hmm. Glad to hear that. What would you say that drives your passion for reading? What drives that urge to read?
We live in the age of information, like
Yeah.
we call it. So we live in the age of information, and if you notice, people who are able to maximize on opportunities in whichever area, yeah, in whichever area, be it in business, be it in people in employment, for example, basically almost all spheres of our lives, information plays a very key role. Yeah? So if you are on the forefront of getting informed, and by getting informed, I don't mean you need to read each and everything, but in whichever area of life you are specialized in, or an area of life where you have your interests, you need to sort of stay ahead of the game. You need to know what is happening in that particular aspect of your life. Uh, so, for example, myself being in, working, for example, in the field of development, I have, for example, to know what the donors and these other development organizations planning for example, for Kenya or other countries where our organization has an interest in. I have to know what these donors, for example, are planning. So that what does that imply? It implies I need to keep reading. For example, things like country strategies, like these donors. What are the different research reports that these people have generated? What are the plans they have for these countries? So by reading that, I'm able to understand. Okay, so this donor is planning to do this sort of programs in a specific country. Then now using that information, I'm able now to also discuss that with, for example, with my colleagues, and we are able to strategize on how can we be able to access opportunities, or basically work, or how can we be able to collaborate with these donors. So that is just one of the examples that I can think of that applies practically and directly in my life. But basically, this is for everyone. We are in the age of information. You basically cannot afford to be left behind. You cannot afford to be in the dark. You need to keep your knowledge updated.
Okay. Do you have a scheduled time where you read or you just read randomly?
Sometimes, to be honest, I don't really have a schedule. There are times I'll probably go for some time without reading, and mostly it will be because I'm quite also busy with other things. And then there are times when I'm the sort of person is who sort of once you get a book, basically once I get a book, there are times I'm not even able to keep it down. Uh, so I don't have a very fixed schedule of how I read. But when I can manage, when my 8 to 5 is not too heavy on me, I'm always at least reading something for the weekend. It doesn't have to be from cover to cover, because as I read, sometimes I sort of digress to research a bit further on some things. We'll get to that later. So my whenever I feel like I'm on schedule, I'm reading mostly on weekends, because at least I have more time. So yeah, but looking at it from a general perspective, I really don't have a very fixed schedule that I can say this particular. There are times I'll go even maybe for a few months without even reading. Then there are times now when I have time, I'll also read quite a lot and yeah, absorb a lot of information, almost intensity by the time I did read.
I get you. Do you like have a reading place, like a place where you read from?
Uh, I am sort of an easily distracted person, so sometimes I see people reading in buses,
Mm.
reading in very sort of, I would say, noisy, or there's too much traffic. I don't think I can be able to connect with the book
Mm.
in such an environment. So of course, I prefer a very chill and sort of quiet environment for me to be able to sort of connect with the book. And then maybe this is more of personal preference, but I also don't like reading in very bright lights.
Okay.
I get sort of irritation in my eyes and that sort of thing. So it might sound funny, but there are times I actually prefer reading with candlelight more
Okay.
than actually um, electricity,
Okay.
because yeah, I mean you are looking at a white page. You also don't want too much light bouncing back on your eyes. So I prefer basically a chill environment and maybe very soft light that will also enable me maybe to read for a longer time. If I'm reading using the normal lights, electricity, probably I'm not able to do it too long, of course, because of the issue.
In fact, you have brought up a, a, a great topic about eyesight and rights and all that. I was talking to someone and they told me they used to be they were book lovers, but recently they're not reading because of their eyes and their problems related to eyes. So, what, what tips can you give to people who love reading but they have challenges with their eyesight?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're able to read during the day, uh, good for you. That would be very good if you are reading using natural light. But if you're not able, I mean, most of us will have other things we are doing. So if you have to read at night, I mean, you don't have to be very extreme. You don't have to go the candle way, because maybe also candle will light up the whole room as
Yeah.
you would want. I mean, there are people even with families who would have to switch off the lights so that you can read a book and other people need to use the light. So if you can, if you have a space where you can read and the light is minimal, that would be ideal, because it is not going to impact your eyesight negatively. If you have for me sometimes, actually most of the times, I read from my bed. I never find it comfortable reading from a chair.
Okay.
So I'm always reading when I'm in bed. That means if there's someone else in the house, I mean, if I'm in the bedroom, I can easily switch off the lights and then just use the candle.
Okay.
And then that sort of works for me very well. And I've read some books up to almost 2 a.m. in the morning, simply because the light was okay, the lighting was okay. But I can't do that when I'm using electricity, to be honest. I can't wait for that one. So for someone with an issue of eyesight, I would advise, if possible, go the candle route. If not, then you might need to get a light that is a bit soft.
Okay.
Not this very, very bright light.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of reading up to 2 a.m., were you reading from a book or from your phone?
No, I'm reading from a book. I
Oh,
can't also I can't also tolerate the light from the
okay.
photoshoot. It is from a book, and then I
Okay.
have a few. I have a few soft copies
Okay.
on my phone, but I really struggle to read for too long from there. I
Okay.
think I sort of old school. I like
Okay.
the feel of turning pages.
Okay.
I feel more connected to a book rather than scrolling through the phone.
Okay.
I mean, the phone screen is not big anyway, so
Mm.
you sort of have to keep zooming,
Okay.
putting a lot of strain on your eyes.
Mhm.
So I'm sort of old school. I prefer just reading from
So you usually read the hardcover copies. Okay. 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 Which books have impacted your life the most?
I mean, looking at the kinds of books that I read, I sort of, I mean, I don't want to say I'm a very deeply religious person, but I feel that the books that have greatly impacted my life have been have been about basically Christianity on different topics, of course.
Okay.
Uh, there's one book that I love very much. It's called The Confessions
Okay.
by a Russian philosopher. He was called Leo Tolstoy.
Okay.
He's a very old man. I mean, he's not even there. He's passed away a long, long time ago.
Okay.
He's written almost in the 16th or 17th century.
Okay.
It's a very old book of a philosopher who was very wealthy, and he basically, I mean, it relates to people who have sort of maybe interacted with the Bible a bit. You know Solomon, of course, and there's a book that Solomon wrote called Ecclesiastes, and there's something he said that I actually feel happens to all of our lives. Maybe we don't know it or we don't have the connection, but I mean, I looked at it and I thought this is actually what this philosopher is writing. What I'm talking about is if you look at life and what you call the point of needs, Maslow, Maslow needs.
Yeah.
So when you're at a certain level of life,
Yeah.
you sort of forget the needs that you have already actualized.
Yeah.
And look at the needs that are ahead of you. Yeah, so you are obsessing about the things you don't have really. So once you get those things that you don't have, again you forget all what you have been able to get. Then again you are looking ahead at what don't I have. So you find yourself constantly in that cycle.
Okay.
So this guy Leo,
Okay.
he was very wealthy. He basically had everything. Yeah. So to us who are maybe down here, we look at such a life and say, I want to be like this guy. I mean, once I have what this guy have, my life is set. I am happy. I'm contented. My heart is happy. I don't have anything to complain about. But this guy Leo, as he grew and accumulated wealth and all, I mean, it wouldn't make sense to him. He didn't find the happiness that he thought he would get after he had accumulated all the wealth. So basically, the book talks about the journey that he undertook, trying different things, thinking that those are things that were going to make him happy, trying leadership, trying getting power, being a man of power and authority. And that didn't give him the happiness that maybe his heart was craving. So the confessions he's talking about is now the confessions he was confessing that once he got to certain levels, he got his life would be more happy, he would be more contented. Obviously, that did happen for how he up to the point where he felt he got that connection, with God, and he was able to his spirituality and have that deeper connection. So for people who are sort of trying to build relationship with God, I think I would advise reading that book. It's not a very big book actually. I think about maybe 100 pages. It's called Confessions. The author is called Leo Tolstoy. He was a Russian philosopher. I would say that is the book that has impacted me the most. Uh, the other books that I think are also quite important to me and even shaping my mindset. There's a friend of mine actually from campus who I've also read again on Christianity. It's called Joseph Okoth. So he has written a number of books. And there's one that I love very much on something called redeeming weddings. So he's talking about the whole concept of basically weddings and marriage and the perceptions that we have. It's like we always want to please or basically to what we call showstoppers. Yeah, so we
Yeah,
want to
sure.
make a statement that
Mm.
we had this grand wedding
Mm-hmm.
and just to keep people talking.
Mm.
Yet, this is a day that is actually supposed to be about you and your new wedded wife or partner, basically, the life that you're going to live after that. So, I mean, because we are also maybe in an age where most of us maybe are headed towards that direction. It's a very good book. The whole thing is based on Christian values. I think it advises people on how to do things right and how they can be able to hold a wedding that is not only maybe pleasing to them but also to God. And then there's another book that I got last year. Uh, this time from influenced more by the Arab world of thinking, maybe culture. It's called the Sheikh CEO.
The Sheikh CEO. Okay.
The Sheikh CEO. So this book is written by another philosopher. He's called Dr. Massad.
Mhm.
He's a George. He's from Jordan.
Okay.
This one now is more on leadership because I felt like sometimes you need to get influenced, or rather, you need to see the mindset of people who have held basically positions of leadership, or people who have been in situations where they needed to really, to really show that leadership and commitment and the drive. And I'm not talking about a book where it's sort of a hero sort of book. It's not, it's not like narrating a story of a hero sort of thing. It's actually talking about a very normal person, an average person who have tried things, sometimes failed terribly, big losses, and then this also is also narrating about the things that worked out. So this person is the current ruler of Emirates, as we know it, or Dubai, the city within the country. So it's called Sheikh Maktoum. So the book is basically talking about the vision that he had of transforming Dubai from what used to be a very normal town to the big city that we know, is that almost everything that has not happened anywhere is happening in Dubai. The sort of very futuristic, for example, infrastructure that will be there, the efficiency that is there. So the book is talking about this man and the vision that he had for the country, and how he went about, implementing these plans that he had. Of course, there are things that he has explained how they failed, how they impacted him, and even the people that were around him. And then, of course, it's also talking about the things, the success stories that worked out. So it's a book that I feel, I mean, it challenges people for someone who wants to develop their leadership sort of skills, to sharpen their leadership skills. It's one of the books. I know there are very many others, but for me, that's one book that I really liked. I sort of keep reading it until, yeah. So those would be the major books, but there have been others that I've read. As I explained, I sort of love. I mean, I love history and I love to know what is actually happening. And for some reason, I think an area that has taken a lot of I've taken a lot of interest in is political happenings, for example. So political happenings, political events, be it either history or things that are already going on. I think I've taken, I've taken a lot of interest in such things. Uh, and I mean, if I could just give like practical examples, as we know, right now, our security forces have been in Somalia for 10 years.
Yeah.
We went there in 2011, October 2011. So last year, October, they hit 10 years in Somalia. So I, I, I think in 2014, that's when I started to develop that interest. Okay, what are these guys actually doing there? What do they aim to achieve by the presence they have in Somalia? Are they going there to build their institutions? Because as you know, the country has totally collapsed. What are they actually going to do? We started doing a lot of research. And then, of course, now being a war, not much is written. We are just left to wait to hear from the media.
Yeah.
So I tried to read a lot reports from, for example, from the UN. I mean, I was not even reading it for a specific thing. I was not reading it because I was doing a course that was relating on security stuff. No, I just wanted to basically to satisfy that curiosity.
Curiosity. Yeah.
What are they actually doing there,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
what is the way forward? Uh, I mean, yeah, of course, they are not going to be there forever. At what point do they want to come out? Basically, what is the whole structure of us being in Somalia?
Sure.
What it means for Kenya, for example. So I've read a lot of such, political sort of things, not just in Somalia. I think I've read a lot of the same for what was called the global war on terror that began after the
9/11.
9/11, yeah, in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of. I think that's actually something that I've read so deeply to the point where I've even bought books basically to understand it even from different perspectives.
Maybe you can mention a few books that you bought to understand the after effect of 9/11.
Exactly. So
Mm.
there's a book actually, it's just right here with me. There's a book here. It's called Malala. I am Malala.
I am Malala. Yeah. Okay.
So this girl you are seeing here on the cover,
Yeah.
basically Afghanistan. Afghanistan is, it's a very deeply conservative country
Country. Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
So girls basically do not go to school.
Okay.
So they are, beyond a certain age, they are not supposed to get education, and even the basic education they don't get.
Okay.
So this book was about how one girl tried to basically go against that culture of not educating girls.
Okay.
And in the moment, in the course of going about her school and everything, she got attacked by basically the militants that have been fighting the government there, and she got shot actually in the head. But luckily, the bullet actually it never really got to a point where it would just kill her on the spot.
Okay.
So she survived the ordeal and went ahead. Of course, got a lot of support from the international community. Herself and the family were evacuated to. She went and joined now a school there and finished schooling, and now she's actually someone doing a lot of advocacy work about
Okay.
girl child education.
Mhm.
So it's a book that explains the war, for example, from an educational perspective. For example, what did this war do to the state of education in Afghanistan and even in the neighboring country, Pakistan, where she's from? She's actually from Pakistan also.
Okay.
So the book explains the impact of war on education, on structures that are supposed to support education, and how women, for example, in such societies can be supported to get at least to some level of equality, because we are fortunate we come from a country where such things do not exist. Yes, very, very remote places where we still find holding on to their cultures. But they are actually in countries where such things are actually very real, and it's a reality that's what they are going through. So this is a book that explains uh, that sort of perspective of view on how the whole business affects education, specifically for women. There's another book. This one is a very interesting book, and also provides a lot of opinion. It's called Infidel. It's written by a lady called Ayan Hirsi.
Show again on the screen. Show the title again.
It's called Infidel.
Okay.
Infidel, and then the author is called Ayan Hirsi Ali.
Okay.
She's a Somali from neighboring Somalia,
Okay.
and she has lived in Kenya in this Dadaab camp,
Okay.
refugee camp.
Okay.
So she was there, I think, in the 90s, and then she got a visa to the Netherlands to go and live in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So it's another very interesting book that, although this one it explains more on why, for example, countries need to separate religion need to be separated from the exercise or the act of running a country.
Okay.
So coming from Somalia, she was explaining how because of that hold on to religion so much, and people should not get me wrong, I'm not saying religion is bad, but because of not being able to sort of have clear, demarcations on what point should we at least let free will, thrive, and where do we need to make sure that we are implementing, religion-driven values. So she's explaining why, for example, for a country like Somalia, they've gone through what they have gone through. She's not, I mean, it's not religion 100% that have caused that, but you can't also
Rule out.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she's explaining how or why countries should try to sort of have clear demarcations, and not to just allow religion to infiltrate each and every aspect of people's lives.
True.
It's a very interesting book. It details her history of her life in Somalia, her life in Kenya, and then when now she got a visa to go to the Netherlands. She lived in the Netherlands. Her opinions were very divisive, to the point where I think a very close friend of hers was murdered because of almost the same sentiments that she had. I mean, as we know, there's a lot of opinions, so you also need to be tolerant. But so basically, those are two of the books that have sort of to understand this whole political events, things revolving around war, and understanding how countries are able to lift themselves from such disasters. So, and I think being an area that I sort of very invested in terms of following the news and everything, it's always something that I'm always looking to know what is happening. And maybe to digress a bit, if you can allow me.
Okay.
I think my passion for understanding this specific topic has had, I would say, a very big impact, or maybe result even on my own professional career, because I think by knowing, for example, follow, as I said, I followed the proceedings of this what we call the war on terror that was happening in Afghanistan. So by the fact that I was very updated on what was going on, who are the parties that were involved in the conflict, I sort from that research I was doing, I sort of came across a job opportunity through that,
Wow.
and I actually applied and got it.
Okay.
And I wanted to go and work in Afghanistan, which is sound very weird to many people, but I managed to go there and work. But the point is, as I remember when I started, I said we are living in the age of information,
True.
and how you can use the information in a way that helps you. I'm not saying that each and everyone who is going to read a book will automatically get a job, but it is just one of the very many ways that you can see that uh, reading gives you power. It gives power. It gives you power even to reason. It gives you power to think more critically, because I realize that, and this is really unfortunate. I don't know whether it's an Africa thing or a Kenya specific thing, but we don't have a good reading culture.
Sure.
Good reading culture at all, at all. Actually, there is a joke, maybe you know it.
Hmm.
There's a joke that says that if you want to hide something from an African,
Edit in
instead
the
of
books.
hiding it from much,
Yeah.
write it in a book where you
Yeah.
will never see it.
Yeah.
There is even, I know, okay, although I know that one is not true, but I've heard of a story someone saying that there was a man who did a wedding, and then, of course, got a lot of gifts from, from relatives and friends. So the man was given a Bible.
Hmm.
So he was told this book is going to give leadership to your family. So so inside the Bible, someone put a check. I don't know how much, but he put a check. And then a number of years down the line, so the person who gave that Bible visited them and actually saw the Bible very neatly arranged in the bookshelf. Uh, so he's like, let me see. He was not even suspecting that this person never
Uh,
read the Bible, and as he's just trying to scroll through
hmm.
through the pages, so he finds the check there. So
Uh,
the point is,
hmm.
it goes on very well with that. Say,
Hmm.
for
Um,
Africans,
eh,
we don't
That part that you have shared has reminded me of a preacher who went to share a sermon, and the setup of the story obviously is in Kenya. So, but it's based on a true story. The preacher was like, open the book of Isaiah chapter 75 and verse 7. And when you find, say amen. Now, because most people, they actually don't open the Bible when the preacher is sharing the scripture and all that, everybody was like, amen, amen, amen. They have found the scripture. So the man of God pretended to read the scripture, and everybody was nodding like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I think, and I think, so sorry, I'm also maybe digressing from maybe the actual topic, but I think also that has led to the rise of false prophets, because we are used to believe in everything without even going back home to read the Bible and confirming the the actual things. Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, reading by reading, actually, we don't even specifically mean we need to invest in books.
Sure.
Basically, reading is you are reading things that affect your lives. Even look, right now we are in an election year,
Yeah, yeah, true.
and we have politicians promising all sorts of things.
Sure.
Ask how many people have actually read those manifestos that these politicians have developed.
Okay.
Very few people have read them. They
Yeah.
don't even know what actually this person stands for.
Yeah.
So as you can see, if you read, you are able to think critically, you are
Yeah.
able to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So for me, I would advocate for, people should at least have a reading culture. And
Yeah.
what I love reading, you might not love what I love reading. I might not also like maybe other topics. We all have our different,
Yeah.
uh,
Tastes.
Their preferences,
But
yeah.
the most important thing is to know what you like and not just believe in what, or basically not just rely on what you yourself know. I mean, we
Mm.
are all limited. Even myself,
Sure.
I'm limited.
True.
I'll need, I'll definitely need an
Mm.
ideology
Mm.
to that can influence how I think. For example, I'll need to develop that aspect of me. I'll need to develop that aspect of me.
Yeah.
And so again, to reiterate what I said is that we are in the age of information, and people need to really be informed of what is happening. If
Sure.
you even look at and compare, even just compare our continent, the continents. Uh, Look at, for example, continents like Europe, like America, Australia. I'm telling you, those people, when it comes to reading, when it comes to things like research, they are, I mean, they are, tell me the last thing you had that was actually innovated here in Africa. Yes, there are few things, but you can't even compare the few things we are able to innovate compared with the hundreds and thousands of new discoveries these people are making each
Mm.
and every time.
Yeah.
Yeah? Even this corona, I mean,
Mm.
we are still relying on them to give us vaccines. Why? Because they've already invested in research.
Yeah.
And research means we are studying different materials to come up with that final product that you can say, this is a vaccine that you can give people against this pandemic. So I think reading, people really have to develop a good culture of reading. And if you allow me, I realize I think I skipped, rather maybe I didn't answer the first question, which is develop a love. I mean, I think I developed, my love for reading was so funny because maybe it came at a cost.
Okay.
Uh, because I remember I would be say my mother would send me to the shop and buy things, uh, and I always loved reading those small pieces of newspapers.
Newspapers.
I used to come to them, so
Yeah.
and would come home
Yeah.
maybe just an errand I was supposed to run for less than 30 minutes or even 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I come home after 1 hour. Why?
Okay.
Because I come read, as I buy the book, for example, I
Mm-hmm.
unwrap it, put
Mm-hmm.
it in my pocket, I
Mm-hmm.
start reading that small piece of
Uh,
newspaper.
mhm.
Because I'll walk very slowly. By the time I get home, it's almost 1 hour later.
Okay.
And I get some beating from my mom.
Okay.
So I started by reading, very random stuff.
Okay.
There is even times I would read books that I know they are not even relating to what I'm learning in school. There would be even books that they are with my older brother and sister who are in high school by then.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I found myself always reading, just flipping through. I mean, I was not really studying on that detailed and serious reading.
Yeah.
Just flip through. Sometimes there are some few things I would notice
Yeah.
that sort of even helped me to improve my language when I was in primary school.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing is people to know what they like, what are their preferences,
Yeah.
uh, and I mean reading. Sometimes it's not necessarily a hobby. There are people I know who really do it as a hobby,
Yeah.
but I think you need to read even when it is not really a hobby because
Yeah.
otherwise, how are you going to update information?
Yeah.
If you say, I don't have a hobby in reading,
Mm.
I mean, it's not something that interests me. So how are you going to add to the information that you have?
Yeah.
And yet you might need great information in whatever area of life that you are operating in.
Okay.
In business, you need to keep learning what are the trends. So you need to read.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a novel, it doesn't have to be something authored by someone specifically. It could be just some research that has been done. So it's always good to keep yourself updated.
Yeah.
To keep yourself.
Mm.